I think education has for many decades been a pillar of the U.S.-Saudi relationship, a foundation, a basis of the U.S.-Saudi relationship. With thousands and thousands of Saudis studying in the United States over the years, we think there's as many as 700,000 Saudis have studied in the United States in all fields. Increasingly, as Saudi's educational system has evolved, as the economy has diversified, we think there's room for growth in that, but we also think there's opportunities for two-way educational exchange. So not just Saudis studying in the United States, which we welcome, but also increasingly Americans coming to Saudi Arabia, whether students or faculty members or researchers, to work directly with Saudis, to study at Saudi universities, and to engage with Saudis in research and educational projects. So I think the future of U.S.-Saudi educational exchange is increasingly strong. So this week at this U.S.-Saudi Partnerships Education Forum, it's a terrific event. It's an opportunity for representatives, senior leaders from over 40 U.S. educational institutions to come to the kingdom. And we have representation from a huge variety of U.S. colleges and universities, Ivy League schools, state universities, colleges and universities that have worked historically with members of certain communities, including African Americans, community colleges, a huge variety of educational institutions coming to the kingdom. And here they will engage with Saudi educational leaders, officials from the Ministry of Education, leaders of a huge range of dozens of Saudi universities, but also representatives of different Saudi ministries, Ministry of Communication and Information Technology among them. So the opportunities here are enormous to increasingly strengthen the U.S.-Saudi educational relationship. Again, not just students going to the United States to study, but Americans coming to the kingdom to engage in research, to do summer abroad or study abroad programs, and perhaps even to establish formal relationships between U.S. and Saudi educational institutions. This MOU that we will sign this week is the outcome of months of discussions between the United States and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on how we can strengthen the U.S.-Saudi educational partnership. As I said a moment ago, for years there have been Saudis studying in the United States, hundreds of thousands of them. Increasingly, we see the future of the U.S.-Saudi educational partnership in two-way educational exchange. So that's the basis of this MOU. How do we bring Saudis to the United States to study? Not just studying, but also faculty members and researchers. And how do we bring Americans, students, faculty, researchers, university administrators to Saudi Arabia to strengthen that partnership? That's the basis of it. Education, but also scientific research. One specific piece of this is the expansion of the U.S. Fulbright program. The Fulbright program is really the principal tool of U.S. educational exchange, and now for the first time there will be a Fulbright program with KAUST in which Americans will be coming to the kingdom, master's degree candidates, PhD candidates, to do training and to do research here. We're going to start, according to the MOU, with 5, and we believe that that's going to expand in the coming years, and we've already had really positive reaction to it. So we think one of the wonderful things about the forum that we are organizing this week by bringing American university officials and Saudi university officials together is that the nature of that partnership is in many ways to be discovered. We're getting these people together to talk about areas of collaboration, and we think simply by discussing over the course of this week, I think different forms of collaboration will emerge, that some of which we might not have foreseen. I can see certainly students going in both directions, so basic educational exchange. I could also see research projects being undertaken jointly between American and Saudi universities, American and Saudi scholars, and we could also see, and we hope to see, a physical presence by U.S. universities in the kingdom. One has already been under discussion, which is Arizona State University, in collaboration with a company called Sintana Education, is establishing essentially a joint venture. It will be a joint degree granting university in which students will earn degrees from a Saudi university and from Arizona State. And we expect that to begin as soon as next year, and it will both contribute to strengthening the U.S.-Saudi education partnership, but also strengthening the human capital that Saudi Arabia is working so hard to develop. And I think at the heart of it, the forum and this MOU that we're signing will lead to an effort to supercharge Saudi Arabia's effort to increase their human capital and to fulfill their ambitions under Vision 2030. It's true that the Saudi scholarship program has probably been the single most powerful driver of U.S.-Saudi educational collaboration over the years, bringing thousands and thousands of Saudi students to the United States to study in a whole diversity of fields. I think increasingly, Saudi Arabia is still committed to that, but now as the economy has diversified, as the whole country has started to transform, I think we'll see people studying in both directions, but in a huge variety of areas, including some areas that we had never thought possible in the past. Fashion design, film and television production, artificial intelligence, early childhood education, a whole range of issues that will contribute directly to Saudi's economic growth and social transformation, but also bring Americans and Saudis together in ways that I think will pay dividends far into the future. I think the first thing I would say to Saudis studying the United States is that a lot of people think of Saudi Arabia as a country rich in natural resources, in particular oil. But I have to say, Saudi Arabia's main natural resource is their people, their citizens, and particularly their young people and their students who are going to be studying in the United States and go on to be the basis of the kingdom's future. The other thing I would say to them is that they are, each and every one of them, ambassadors of their country. I think a lot of Americans think they know about Saudi Arabia. Maybe they've heard of Saudi Arabia, but in many cases, students going to study will be the first and maybe the only Saudi Americans have ever met. So it's an important responsibility. You're representing your country, and you're creating enormous opportunities for mutual understanding between our two countries, which I think is absolutely critical as we strengthen our partnership.